April 3rd, 2024 to 6 o'clock. If you'd invite you to join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Brian, if we could have a roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Auger.
Present.
Mr. Epping.
Present.
Mr. Galley.
Here.
Mr. Scharl.
Present.
And Mr. Zurich.
Here.
Great. Tonight's meeting obviously is being held in the Independence Township Hall. It's also available online to either view or participate in by going to the website and clicking on the big green button that says Join Meeting. Gentlemen, if we could have a review of tonight's agenda, which is published online.
I motion that we accept tonight's agenda as presented.
All support?
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
We have an agenda. We just have a few things on the agenda tonight. We've got, first part is a public comment. That's an opportunity in just a minute for anybody in the audience or online to comment on anything that is not on the agenda. We'll then go into unfinished business. We have none tonight, so we'll have new business. We have 3 different items on new business. What I'll do is I'll read each application into the record and state what the applied variances are. We'll then invite the applicant up to the podium. If you could give us your name and your address and then just walk us through what your variance request is. We'll ask questions. We'll bring it back to the board for questions. We'll look for any public comment that may have been submitted to the community, as well as comments from people in the room and people online. We'll then bring it back and continue to have questions so we really understand the case and then ultimately make a decision on that. So at this point, I will call for public comment. Is there anybody here tonight to speak on anything that's not on the agenda? Anybody online, Brian?
Just one person, but I think they're with one of the cases.
All right, seeing no public comment, I will close that.
If you also mention anybody that speaks, if they make sure they sign the
Thanks,
sheet.
Alan. It's a good point. Anybody else who speaks, if you do come up for public comment, as well as if you're the applicant, there is a sign-up sheet at the door. If we could get your name, spelling, and address, that way we make sure we get it right in the minutes. All right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. So we'll move right on to new business. I will call case number 24-003, Jim and Gloria Licata, petitioner, requesting 2 variances from the ordinance. The first, a 6.1 foot front yard variance from section 4.6D. And the second variance is a 4.6 foot side yard variance request from 13.05B in order to construct a new home on an existing non-conforming lot of record, which is at 4591 Ennismore Drive, which is an R1A single-family zoning district of the township. Mr. or Mrs. Licata, how are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Are we supposed to stand up here?
Yes, please, if you can speak, and if you speak, at least into the mic, so that way the TV can pick it up. Give us your name and address, and then we'll go through your request tonight.
All right, I'm Gloria Licata, this is my husband Jim.
Good evening.
We currently reside at 44329 La Domaine, Sterling Heights, Michigan.
Okay.
We are here about 4591 Ennismore. I really want to just kind of talk a little bit about us. Jim is recently retired. I'm a school social worker with with Utica Community Schools. And we are super excited about being property owners in Independence Township. We are even more excited about being homeowners in Independence Township. So it really took us a bit to decide to purchase this property because it is a unique piece of property. It is obviously slender. It is next to a boat launch, which has both its pros and its cons. Upon deciding to purchase the property, we started thinking about the house, and we know that this is our last home. This is our last home, so we really needed to be aging in place, so we're looking at a ranch. So thinking about that ranch, we are looking at using as much buildable space as we can. Again, this is our last home. We are super excited about the area, we really like the area here. And in terms of those pros and cons, it really, our concern is the noise of the boat launch. It's the fraternizing that might occur, at the boat launch. So in working with our architect who's here tonight, thanks for coming, Ryan. He is here with us virtually. We really, we found out about the setbacks. We worked within those setbacks as much as possible. And considering the home that we wanted to build, we're here to ask for those variances, right? The home, we really looked at the neighborhood, and we looked at how the other homes are kind of together in the neighborhood, and we wanted this home to match that. So the variance that we're requesting is on the boat launch side, of course, and we didn't want to get too close to the boat launch, but I think we're still close, no matter what. I mean, we're going to be close to the boat launch side. The concern there is the noise level. So we decided to just kind of, work with our architect and make it equidistant on both sides, and hopefully have the dream home that we want for our last home. Did I miss anything, Jim?
No, I think you covered it all really well. I guess the one thing I would add was, I should get close, yeah. As the one thing I would add was, we did give it a lot of thought, and so the plan represents that thought with trying to find the right balance between the boat launch as well as our neighbors. And we're looking forward to getting involved with the community and joining our neighbors there. So we're hopeful that you'll like our plan.
Perfect, well, I appreciate that. So to
Jim,
go ahead.
Brian, can you take the screen down? Thank you.
So you can actually see?
Yeah.
Oh, you are in a.
Oh,
Thanks, Alan.
No, we got it.
it's all right. That's okay.
I'll work around.
We can move. Sorry.
So, to be clear, in this area of the town, they are what is referred to as non-conforming lots of record. They're smaller lots, historically there for, some of the original homes, I think, in the community and certainly around the lakes over there. The great homes, we've had a lot of cases, essentially because of the size of those lots. We do see a fair number per year of cases at the ZBA here. In the R1A, to give the community some perspective, typical lot size in R1A would be 100-foot wide. Your home is a little under 50-foot wide, so it's about half the normal size. And so with setbacks and those other things, that all has to be considered when we're talking about the building envelope. The ordinance does allow some consideration for non-conforming lots of record under normal R1A setbacks. A normal R1A lot would have side setbacks that equal 20 feet, 10 on both sides. In non-conforming lots of record, the ordinance reduces that to the smaller of the side being at least 5 foot and a total of being 15 foot. So your request currently is to have, rather than that total of 15 foot, to have just over 10 foot, so a little less than the 15 foot, as well as there's an additional setback request for the front setback where the garage would just kind of nose into the front setback. I've got a couple questions. We'll open it up to the board then. One question I have, just starting with the front setback, it looks like from the site plans that you've provided that there's still an ample driveway. What's the approximate distance from the front of the new garage to the edge of the road? I'm trying to figure out, can we still park a car there?
There's more than 30 feet. I think it's, and Ryan, maybe you can answer this, help us with this one, but I think it's 37 or 38 feet, Ryan?
Yeah, based on the site plan, it's between, depending on where you look at it on the curve, it's between 33 and 38 feet.
Great, and Ryan, you're online. Could you just give us your name and address,
Yep.
please?
Yep, Ryan Ulm, 719 Royal Street in St. Clair, Michigan.
And you're the project architect.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So there's greater than 35 feet between the future garage where it's being requested and the edge of the road. So certainly you could park at least 2 cars there without interrupting the road. And just for people who can see it there, the road's on a little bit of an angle. So the western corner, I guess, is just about a foot setback, and then the other side is looks like over 6 foot of a setback request. The real issue then becomes on the side setbacks. To the west, you mentioned the boat launch area. That sounds like it's a area where the neighbors congregate and have fun. And then to the east, there's an existing home. The east side, you have a proposed variance of, trying to get my computer to actually operate here, but proposed of 5 foot and then 5.4 on the western side. The 5 foot on the eastern side next to the neighbor would technically be allowed per our ordinance as long as there was 10 foot on the other side. In this case, the total don't equal 15 foot, and so there's the kind of the
The
justification
reason for the
other
variance, yeah.
I understand the idea that, kind of intuitively makes sense, that let's put the house in the middle and roughly 5 foot on either side. Is there any reason other than the boat launch and some of the activities there why it couldn't be shifted further to the west, the home itself?
Getting closer to the boat launch would be the biggest concern.
Yeah, and we really gave it thought about, not building up, not wanting to build a big structure, but to do a single
Yeah.
level place and try to do the best we can with that space, considering it's non-conforming lot.
And the plan is also to, and I don't know if it's on that plan, but to have a walkway down, like from the street down.
Mm-hmm.
And
So really, a good portion of the build is that, it's more walkway than it is house, if you will.
Mhm.
That's
so we
going
didn't want a
into the setback.
2-foot walkway, right?
Right.
2 foot
On
with
the-
the fence.
The walkway between the driveway and the front door, or the walkway between,
No, the walkway, there'll be a walkway to get down to the lake
on the door side?
on the door side, yeah. Now, could that be a 2-foot walkway? Doesn't seem comfortable. How are we gonna get stuff down there? I guess that's.
Can I add one point there?
Please do.
If I could add, the 5 foot on the east side was held so that it gave us just a little bit more on the west side. So the topography on the east side is actually a little bit steep and a little bit difficult to work with. So they wouldn't be able to put the path from the driveway down to the waterfront on the east side. It would have to go down the west side along the boat launch fence. So that's why we held the 5 foot or 5.4 feet on the west side rather than putting it on the east side.
Okay, thanks. All right, let me open it up to my colleagues here. Mr. Zurich, any questions or thoughts, questions, comments?
Well, I guess my first question might be geared to Brian. The home that's on the east side, that is within the rule of 10 foot on that side, or they have an exception also? Do
They
you know?
probably did at some point, yeah. I didn't research their home specifically, but, the rule is 5 and 10 on a non-conforming lot, which is, the problem with Ennismore is that plat has a lot of homes that have basically been built on property lines, over property lines. It gets really messy as you go further west. These are pretty well intact, so, I assume since it was surveyed by, Noack and Fraus, that it's in the correct location, but I didn't scale that off.
The one on the east, the white ranch-type house, that's probably an old cottage from back in the 40s, when people came out from Detroit and Royal Oak. That's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm hesitating just a little bit on why you would not be able to narrow the body of the house, the main part of the house, up a little bit to help alleviate the condition that is created here. I don't have any questions right now.
Alan?
I got one, Brian, the deck at the back, there's no bridle path around that lake, okay? The deck at the back is gonna be covered. Is that, are we encroaching at all towards the water's edge?
They're allowed a 10-foot encroachment on a deck, so, I don't think.
It's a
that-
covered deck.
Yep, yeah, and it's basically, like I said, decks are allowed to encroach 10 feet into the rear setback. So, I think that the house itself is at 50, but this brings it to 40.
You know that you never can put anything from the house back, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't enclose that at all.
Correct.
I spent quite a bit of time out there. I know the house on the other side of the boat launch was before us about 4 or 5 years ago for that garage that's in the front.
Oh, that's very close, right?
And then up the street, we get a lot of cases from that area. It's an existing lot of record, and I don't feel that the garage is going towards the front property line, and I assume the front property line is the dot and dash that's going around the dark curved part is actually the property line and not the road edge. A lot of times the surveyors will bring us in site plans to the pavement edge, not to the property line. So my assumption is that's the property line. It's about in line with the rest of the houses on the street, because they're all close, if not even closer to the west. I don't have a particular problem with it.
With both the easements, thank you. Mr. Galley?
Yeah, pretty much a few of my first points have already been said about obviously the neighborhood and the number of cases and the number of non-conforming issues in that area. On narrowing the house, just being a builder and looking at the house, you did a great job designing it for the lot. I built a house on a 50-foot lot on Union Lake, and it's a challenge. I don't think you're being egregious in the sizes of the rooms. I mean, the bedroom's 9 by 14, 10 by 13, you really can't shrink those down and be livable. The 3-car garage, you can't have a 3-car garage less than 30 feet and get in there and open your doors without banging your doors all over everything. So, and aside from the garage, you have to have a porch and a 3-foot door to enter your house. Having the walkway on the boat launch side, does take any foot traffic and guests coming to your door away from the neighbor. So in theory, you are protecting the neighbor the best you can, in my opinion, considering the lot and the circumstances. So I personally don't have a big issue with this case.
Thank you, Brian. Jim?
Has there ever been a house on this lot?
I don't think so.
Yes, there was.
There
There
was?
was a house.
Was
Yeah, that's why I
Very-
think because the way that asphalt comes in off the road,
Oh, yeah.
it would appear to me as though that was like the precursor to a home.
I think the home was 700 square feet. It was very small, and it was...
Can you speak up just a little bit? I'm sorry.
Sure. I think the home was 700 square feet. It was very small. It was just, and I think it was very close to the lot line there as well.
Did you tear it down?
We did not.
No, we did not.
The previous owner of the property tore it down.
It looks like it's been vacant for quite some time. Other than that, I have no comments.
All right. In a minute, I will call on members of the audience, either online or in the room. Before we get there, we do have at least one letter. Brian, I don't know if any other information has been, anybody else has contacted the township?
I spoke to a resident who is the neighbor, and I'm not sure if they're here tonight or not. Yes. Yep.
Right.
So I'm sure they'll speak, but I believe this is from their attorney.
Great.
uh,
Do you, well, let me open it up to the public, and then maybe you'll paraphrase this, and then I'll read this after the fact. So if there's anybody from the public who would like to speak on this project, if you guys could just take a seat. We'll have anybody in the room that would like to speak on the project, that would be great.
Well, I think this is probably the guy who wrote it, so we'll let him paraphrase it. Just acknowledge that.
Good evening,
How are you
gentlemen.
tonight?
My name's Andrew Merriman. I'm an attorney here in Clarkson. I reside at 7789 Fieldstone Ridge. This is Sherry Hall. Sherry is the owner of the existing property next door. Her husband, Bill, is teaching this evening at Oakland County University. Couldn't be here this evening. The first thing that my clients want to make completely clear is they respect your dream. They want you to have your dream. They can't wait to be your neighbors. This is not intended to be a fight that lasts, or a fight in any way. So please take that into consideration. They completely understand that you guys are going to be neighbors when this is over. Just to kind of address a couple of things that were discussed in the previous conversation, having a concern for noise on the boat launch. My clients lived in the community for 20 plus years, and she says there's association bylaws against congregating on the boat launch. It's not a party spot. It's a place where somebody's going to put their boat in and leave. And let's all face it, we live in Michigan. That doesn't happen all year round. So I don't know how large a concern noise would be with regard to the boat launch. The main concern for my clients who live next door is having as much room as possible between the homes. As you heard their architect say, it's a very sloped area. It's difficult to work with. My first thought would be if the home is moved towards the west, it would be easier to work because you're not on that slope. My clients have had issues in the past with drainage. The more grass and dirt there is between those two homes, the less problem there is with drainage because the water can absorb. The walkway on the west side of the proposed home, is it possible to have a redesign where that walkway comes off the back of the home, off the deck, and they're able to take whatever they need to down to the water from that spot? The ideal thing for my clients would be to have this home shifted towards the boat launch as much as possible to provide more room in the middle between their houses. I think theirs home, the existing home is 8 feet, she believes, from the property line. I haven't seen a survey. I don't know that for certain. So we'd have 13 feet between the houses as currently situated. More room would be necessary. They have a couple of windows. Their air conditioning units would be between the houses. Their existing units are there. They have a water spigot there that they use from time to time. And I think if the board needs something to hang their hat on, you'll see in my email that the primary reason for this appeal is to have the bedroom on the first floor of the proposed home. And if you look at the drawings of the first floor of the home, the primary bedroom is already, as it sits, within the boundaries required by the township. It doesn't need a variance to exist as it is. The reason they need a variance is to have a larger kitchen and a larger basement. And so I'm actually really glad the architect's online. If this property can be, or this residence can be moved over towards the boat launch, I think you'll make everybody happy. They'll get the home they want. My clients will get the space between the homes instead of having it on top of them. Finally, on that, if you look across the boat launch, on the other side, the existing home is very close to the property line. There's grass on either side of the boat launch, so putting another home next to it would not restrict the use of the boat launch. My clients state this boat launch has been there for years, is owned by the association. I'm certain that every owner has an easement to use it. No one's ever building on that piece of property.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered everything that's on there, so, yeah, I mean, and I understand their walkway. My house, I don't have come into the side of my house is the doorway. I don't have it extended out to come into my house that way. I do have like a sidewalk, so I understand the walkway to come in, but I don't have it extended out next to the neighbors to get into my house. So that's why I was just looking to see for any convenience or, because we also come down to, like you say, maintenance our air conditioning units, and we have a water spigot on that side too. So just for room and maintenance to get down that way also is helpful for us.
Okay, Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I won't go further into your email. The township did receive, and it'll be part of the package, an email from Mr. Merriman this morning at about 8 o'clock, largely in part stating those issues that just came up. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to speak on this case? I think it's, we do have someone else. Is anybody else online that would like to?
Hello, gentlemen. My name's Andrew John. I live at
I'm
46.
sorry, Job?
Andrew John, John.
Thank you.
I live at 4631 Ennismore, about 6 houses down from where these folks are planning to build. I'm here to support their project, but after listening to their attorney, I certainly think that if moving it closer to the boat launch would be a fine idea. Like you said, the other property is on the other side of the boat launch, is very close, and I don't believe the Lakatas need to worry about noise either. This is not a noisy area. People come in, put their boat in, and then they leave. So I wouldn't worry about that. You know, I'd like to see this neighborhood continue to be built up. There's a lot of older homes there, and you're seeing through time that they're getting tore down like this home is, and new construction's going in. I'd love to see this a beautiful home, and also I love that it's a ranch, so it's not going to be, you know, a towering structure over this area, public area, where people are coming in and out with their boats. I think it's the architecture is good. It's going to look very great. I'm excited for them. But as an owner on a 50-foot lot that's just, you know, a couple houses down, they definitely need space to bring things from the road down to the lake. And whatever side that may be on, there needs to be at least 5 feet, in my opinion. So if moving it closer to the west side of the boat launch would make everyone happy, I would support that. And I also just think this is a great project. And that's what I'd like to say.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks.
Glad to see you'll be, again, anybody who has spoken, if you would sign in if you haven't already on your way out, thank you. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to speak on this project? Brian, is there anybody online that, anybody online would like to speak on our first case?
I think they're for the next case.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'll bring it back up to our board. We really have 2 variances to consider. The first being essentially to accommodate the garage, and the second to accommodate the placement of the house or the house width on the lot.
Wanted the owners to clarify something. Is that okay
Please,
to ask
yeah.
that question?
Come on up.
Somebody had mentioned drainage and such, which on a slope lot and stuff, that's a concern. When you do build a new house, you have to contain all your water onto your property, and you can't shed on another. So in your vision, what was your idea for drainage for capturing gutter water and such? Did you think that through yet, or no?
I guess
We need to defer to Ryan. We
Let's
did
see
not
what
think
Ryan-
that through.
Yeah, we were planning for a stone band along the west side because we know that the topography is pretty steep over there, and it actually slopes away from the existing residence to the east. It slopes towards the proposed residence.
Okay.
So we would try and do as much as we could to create a small swale, but within that swale, do a stone base that goes down to a French drain and drain that into into the basement French drain system. So I think we have that accounted for.
So just some sort of underground drainage system, and you said
Yes.
it does slope away from the neighbor toward your property?
It currently does, and I think there's a small retaining wall that the neighbor has right on the property line. So the slope and the grade is actually below the neighboring property grade.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Thanks, Ryan.
So gentlemen, this is what I'm thinking is you know, we're talking about literally inches or feet here. Mr. John had a point in terms of the placement of it, and, you know, I started to think in my head, boy, if the adjacent house to the east, I guess, has 8 foot, and we're proposing, it's being proposed right now 5, if we wanted to try and see through that 15-foot easement, you know, in theory, there might be possible to shift this house 2 feet further west. There's more lawn area on the boat launch side, so it's not getting closer to another home. It gives a full 15 foot. But then the neighbor also brought up the fact that, boy, everybody needs 5 foot to bring something down the side. The eastern side has a slope, so it's probably a little less easy to bring stuff back and forth down that.
Jim, isn't
the side of
that-
the house.
Isn't that boat launch area fenced?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, right.
Yes.
But I'm
Yes.
saying, right, so you wouldn't have 5 foot, right? You'd
No,
only
you
have
wouldn't.
3 foot
Yeah.
with a fence.
Right.
And
That's
the
correct.
eastern side, even though you would have potentially 7 foot, isn't quite as easy to traverse because it's more of a slope.
Yeah.
So shifting it 2 feet to the west, giving a full 15 foot more or less between structures works well, except for perhaps that notion of trying to bring things back and forth. You could certainly have a walkway at 3 foot, but if, you know, if we need, and I know I'm putting need in parentheses, but a large area of 5 foot between the fence and the house, it just becomes more narrow at that area.
Think about carrying something from the garage down to the lake.
Right.
Because there's no way to get, I mean, the garage is up on the upper floor, so you can't like take it through the house.
And like, yeah, it would have to be less than 3 foot wide.
Yeah.
I think if you did anything like shift the house or flip the house, I just think no offense to the neighbor, I think they're being short-sighted on this. Then you put all of their walkway, all of their people coming over.
We gave that a
You're
lot of,
intruding on
we
the
gave that a
neighbor
lot of
more,
consideration.
in my
About
opinion.
that.
We thought a lot about that.
It truly is the private side with really just 2 or 3 small windows, and largely, you know, just nice architecture on the side of the neighbor where there's not a lot of living on that side, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments? If not, we could have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, case 24-003, Jim and Gloria Licata. The petitioner is requesting 2 total variances. One, a 6.1 foot front yard setback, and the second variance, a 4.6 foot side yard setback variance. I motion that we approve both variances, citing that it is an area of non-conforming properties. In my time on the board, we've probably had about 10 cases in this neighborhood. They are improving the property. Adding to the motion, I would add that the survey of the footings when they go in, placement verification. If there are any buried items from the old house that was demoed, obviously it's not your fault, but that you dig those up and discarded them properly. And the fourth thing, to add the comments of the architect and the drainage away from the neighbor to the east. That's it.
I'll support that.
We have motion and support. Brian, if we could have roll call, please?
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Charles,
Yes.
Mr. Zurich.
No.
The motion carries. The variances have been granted. Again, it's really important, especially on lots of this size, to continue to work with the building department and the planning department. One of the motion, conditions of the motion was staking, a survey staking of the house as it's being built to verify. So, you know, in this case, we're literally talking about variances down to the inch. And so it's critical that the house isn't built, you know, inadvertently outside of those parameters. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Look forward to having you in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. We will keep moving on. So our second case tonight, case 24-004, Eugene English petitioner, requesting again 2 variances. The first variance from 5.06 in order to construct an accessory structure in the front yard of a home. And the second variance, a 40-foot side yard setback variance from 5.06 A3, both in order to construct an accessory structure at 7950 Dixie Highway, which is an R1R rural residential section of the township. Good evening.
Hello.
Mr. English?
My name is Eugene English, and I live at 7950 Dixie Highway.
Thank you. You live in that cool little neighborhood in town.
Yeah, it's very unique. I was very fortunate to find such a beautiful place.
Tell us what you're planning on doing. It looks like a new garage.
Yes. I don't know. I think Brian said that everybody was going to go look at the site. At my house, the back of the house starts to decelerate down to Deer Lake, and I live on Deer Lake there. In fact, all of the lots are, except for one.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
And
that's what it is.
the option I've got for doing that would be in the front yard. Now, the current situation, I have my own little construction company, so I keep a couple trailers there, as well as my pontoon boat in the winter. And for that reason, I think is the biggest, just to clean up the lot, make it look more appropriate, like a carriage house kind of thing. My neighbor just did one in a steel building, so I'll kind of block that out a little bit too, which is just fine. It's a good house. I mean, a good building. You can see it there. It's close to the corner of it's close to the blue line there, which is our property line.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, where that pontoon boat white spot is, that's my wrapped pontoon boat for the winter. That's kind of where it would be, except it would be a little more lining up with the house.
More parallel essentially with the angle of your
Correct.
house.
Yeah.
Right. So, again, your neighbor has a nice new structure, fairly close to the property line. This essentially, not exactly parallel, but more or less next to it is where you're proposing it.
Yeah, yeah. And set back far enough that it kind of is what I look at instead of his building. Not that his building is obtrusive, but I have a need, and that's where I want to put it as far as lining up with him. And I did talk to him. He's very supportive, as well as my other neighbor on the other side, Kevin Keeley. Sue and Lee McLeod and Kevin Keeley are both supportive of what I was doing.
And what, Mr. English, can you tell us a little bit, you provided a kind of a quick sketch of your building, but tell us more about the architecture, the materials.
Okay. The building itself is going to kind of emulate the other gable that you're looking at when you look at the house, which would be on the right.
Look at your
side.
house.
Yeah, looking at my house, the right-hand side of my house, which is where the structure is going to be. There's a gable there with half in the ground, second level. It'll look to that kind of architecture with Queen Anne returns. It's going to have two 10-foot garage doors with custom doors that look really nice and not like garage doors. And then I'm going to even do some brick in the corners to pick up from the brick that's on the house. It's going to be a half brick on a metal grate system, but the house across the street I built, in 2017. I finished it. It burned to the ground. It was on Deer Hill, which Deer Hill and our private driver emulate each other coming off of Dixie. And I did the same kind of thing, a rock in the corner, it gave it a nice look. Well, I wanted to match my house, and that's kind of the idea with this project, is to make it look like it belongs.
All right, tied together. So you'll have brick accents, will the rest of it be hardy board or some type of siding?
It'll be the vinyl, triple vinyl that's on the house.
Okay.
It's gonna match that,
Same color?
same color, yep.
And what's the roof material?
Same roofing material, same roof color, a dimensional shingle. It'll match the pitch of a 412 that's on the house right now.
Okay.
Kind of like I said, to that gable and that gable will kind of look, to make it look like it all belongs.
Any windows or doors on the other three sides?
I haven't put any, I actually started to draw some, put an application for a building permit with Dave Moran. Mm-hmm. And he gave me a list actually an hour before I came here of things that I still have to upgrade. And that's one of the things I didn't take the time to think about, what kind of windows, but I was gonna do some type of high window that was maybe like 2 feet by 3 feet 2 or 3, I'm not sure yet, I gotta draw it and look and see what it looks like, but something like that to give it light inside, yet not, it wouldn't be facing the sun, so, it wouldn't, I don't have to worry about it. The UV rays hurting the vinyl and the other things, because my intent is to not only put the pontoon boat in the winter, but in the summer, the maintenance for the road I do during the winter with the, with my snowplow. So in the summertime, they don't have to look at a snowplow. I can put my whole unit in there, and it's basically just for there. I take it up to my hunting property, but it's on site pretty much all the time. So it's another thing that they don't have to look at in their driveway,
Okay,
for all those reasons.
appreciate it, thank you. Oh, last question I have is, you show on the sketch a driveway going up. Is your existing driveway asphalt, and will that match, or is it?
It will. In fact, I plan on, once I have it in place and some crushed concrete in there, doing a re-top of the whole thing, as well as the new driveway going up to the new structure.
So it all blends together.
Yeah, all new,
Thank you.
redone asphalt, yeah. It's overdue. I've got a couple blotchy spots in there that need to be taken care of, so.
Makes
Part of the
sense.
reason not doing it last year was because of this project that we started talking about and saving for.
Makes sense. Mr. English, I'll bring it back to our board. We'll ask some questions and have some conversation. We'll open up to the room if anybody's here, and then we'll ask you a few more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Jim?
Basically, I have no objections, you know, with the side yard setback or the house, or the garage being in the front yard setback. It actually will help to shield that, it's shown as an existing garage, but it sure looks like a pole barn to me. However, I think there's a mistake in the drawing which could conceivably require an additional variance. The way that the drawing is shown, it says the 75-foot front yard setback, and that's drawn from the property line, which is the center line of the road. The 75-foot setback is either from the right-of-way or the easement line. Am I not correct, Mr. Ottman? I mean, when you got, say you got let's take Allen Road, for instance. Allen Road has a 33-foot implied road easement, and the setback line is taken from that 33-foot line. In this particular case, Stone Pillar Road has a 30-foot wide easement for road purposes, 15-foot. So therefore, the theoretical front yard setback line, or where you should be drawing it from, is the easement line.
Well, the property line looks like it goes right to the road edge.
Well, so does,
Is
so
this-
do all
is this-
acreage lines.
Is this
Yeah.
a road or a driveway?
No, it's a road.
It's a private drive.
It's a private drive
I maintain.
with a,
But it
thir-
has
with
an
a 30,
easement.
with a 30-foot
With an
easement.
easement.
Goes about 1,000 feet from Dixie all the way down
Right.
to the last house, the Weedmans.
If
private
that,
drive, but
if
has
what
a
I'm thinking
30-foot
is
easement.
correct, it puts the new garage in the front setback.
What makes it a private
Like I
drive?
say, I have no objection with it,
Multiple
and
homes.
I'd be happy to grant that variance, but I think the drawing is incorrect.
Technically.
He could move the
So
building back
the
But
to
placement
meet
of
that.
this case, they probably
existing-
run
or this
utilities or
build
something down.
would be, needed to go back a little further?
15 feet,
15 feet?
15 feet.
What's my,
That's half the
Sir,
width
if
of
you're
the
gonna, if we
30-foot
could have you at the
easement.
microphone just so we can pick you up.
Sorry.
That's half the width of the 30-foot easement.
Okay, so that's the 15 feet, it needs to come back even further, which is fine with me.
Well,
Yeah, it's quite a
you're
grade
getting
there.
close to the house there. and
The farther you go back, the more the grade is.
Yes,
Goes up.
yes, my intent there is to do a retaining wall.
Well,
'Cause I wanna
You might
back-
wanna use the wall of the garage for a retaining wall, but what I'm saying is you move this house back 15, or this garage back 15 feet, the grade situation becomes a little more critical.
challenging.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought it was applying for a variance in the front as well as the side. Yeah?
That's a
It's a
possibility.
That's a possibility.
The variance is for having it in front of the building, not a dimensional variance in addition to.
So our ordinance doesn't allow accessory units in front of the primary structure, in front of the home. Most conventional lots in our township have the homes fairly close to the front setback, and any, other garage or structure would be towards the back of the house. In this case, your home is set further back from the road. It's a very unusual shaped lot, and therefore, you're technically building this in front of your home. So that's the first.
And all the
set-
houses along that ridge, if you will, have no backyard really that you can walk and play on,
Right.
because
Correct.
it all
And so-
drops down
So
water.
that application, that variance request, we've seen before. It, we're talking about it here, it has some validity in my mind. I can understand what you're asking for. What Mr. Charles pointed out is that it may also require, if it's gonna be built here, an additional setback, which would be, because it appears as though your site plan is incorrectly drawn. You're showing a 75-foot setback, which is the required setback from the center line of the road. It technically should be from the edge of the easement back, so
15 more feet.
15 more foot back. That dotted line, that imaginary setback line should be 15 foot back. You have the ability, assuming that we would grant a variance to allow it to be in the front yard, to move that, your proposed building 15 foot back, or you have the ability to add your request to be considered for an additional dimensional, a 15-foot setback from the front yard. We'd have to consider that, we'd have to advertise it, we couldn't just add that on tonight, but,
Oh.
I think that's what Jim's pointing out. Does that appear to be accurate?
Okay.
You are.
So we'll have to,
That puts me backwards a lot. Okay.
that's a
Can you
good,
can you move it back?
Can I move it back?
Yeah.
I can move it back, yeah. I don't have a problem with
I
that.
think you ought to stake that puppy out, 90 feet from the center line of the road and see what you got. 'Cause
Well-
I think you're gonna run into some severe grade problems.
here's one option is,
I'm planning on keeping, Jim, I'm planning on keeping my grade set up a little bit higher, so that everything slopes down to the existing driveway. And that way I'm not cutting as much into my,
Well, looking at this,
Grade?
the garage floor could be several feet higher than the driveway.
I don't know about, I wouldn't want it that how much higher, but it could,
Well, I mean,
I'm thinking
it
a
could be
foot.
higher to balance out,
Yeah,
because you get 10 feet away from that property line and there's quite a slope there.
yeah. And I'm gonna have to remove the two trees that are in that spot. Yep. But I didn't plan on another variance or having to start from scratch again.
well, let's
I
keep
had
talking.
people lined up.
Let's keep talking, we'll just keep that in mind for
Okay.
now, and, Brian, what are your thoughts?
I think everybody's expressed my thoughts. I think we've approved 3 or 4 variances just in this tiny little group of homes in the last few years. The placement of it makes the most sense to me. It's backing up to the neighbors, which we approved a few years ago. The issue that Mr. Shaw brought up, I wouldn't have a problem adding that on either. I don't think it doesn't affect anybody. It would obviously just delay the petitioner 1 month.
The funny thing about setback lines is they don't appear on the field.
Yeah, no, it's an imaginary line.
Well, yeah, I repeat, I have no problems with this thing exactly the way it is,
Yeah,
but
there's no other way around
I'm
this,
thinking
Brian.
about the technicalities. I mean, that line is incorrectly drawn.
So I'll come to you in a minute. If the board, if we complete our deliberations, questions, open up to public, and then make a motion, and if that motion was to grant this variance, the applicant would then have the ability to go back to his home, stake that out. If that new location, an additional 15-foot back works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, then you have the ability to come back into the township and apply for that second variance, which would allow, some consideration potentially.
Would
for
that,
it
Brian,
to
would
be
that
looked-
stop me from doing construction?
Yeah, if you're gonna have to build it, if you wanna build it in this exact location, yeah, it would. Yeah, we wouldn't issue the permit.
But right now, all right, I guess, I see what you're saying, okay, that answers the
But
question
if
I
you
had.
can move it back 15 feet, I would submit a new plot plan for us to look at, at least for zoning compliance. And if it works, then it works,
Okay,
Because if they grant the variances that have been advertised, essentially, Jim's right, you gotta move it back. So,
does that violate the variances that have been advertised?
no.
No.
No, because you're in compliance with what's been advertised.
And preferably, I would like to take it back even further, because again, it just makes it my house where I'm looking out the outside and don't see a neighbor's steel building.
Yeah, so you just have to keep in mind that you have to be 10 feet from the existing house.
Oh,
So it can't go any closer than that.
well, right now, I am, if I do it where
Yeah.
it's, how it's laid out, I
This is
would
a
be
mortgage report.
53 feet, I think it was, from the house.
Okay.
So I think I have more than enough then, okay?
Let me jump back in and give each of our members a chance. Ken, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out a quick solution so you can move forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I kind of like got going on this, and as a contractor, for a living, I had it kind of ready to go, but I gotta do what I gotta do, so.
Alan, any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, when I was out driving the easement there, my personal thought is, it should be at the end of the driveway where you park the vehicles. That would be, to me, an ideal location without a topo. I don't know what your grade situation you're talking about, because it looks from the road, from the easement, you're flat on that side of the house. If not, I don't like it where it's sitting there. I would like it pushed back at least as far as what the barn is of the neighbor.
Excuse me, does your house walk out?
Do I walk out?
Does the house walk out?
On the back of the house, there is a spot, it's actually a quad. So it's got
Well,
a level that walks
on
out
the
of the
left-hand side
kitchen.
of the house, does the house walk out?
No, not anywhere in the front or in that area, no. It's all to the back of the house.
It appears fairly level from the easement on that end of the house.
Where that little two-track is?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not for the location that it is.
But
I
Alan's
think
saying
it
he'd
can
be
be
good
moved
here,
to
which would move it back.
Be in
15
line
foot.
with the other structures.
Yeah, I was out there today and made some marks.
Moving
Yeah.
it back here
Yeah.
to be in line with this would essentially more or less bring it back that 15 foot, which would be required without any further variance.
Right.
Yeah, without an actual survey and showing something to scale, it's awful hard. I don't know. You're a builder, so you know, customer bring you something like this and says, hey, build it. You know,
Okay.
use common sense.
Yeah.
A lot of us are builders or
Could be asked if
engineers
there's
Of
any
course.
on this board.
public
Yeah.
comments.
Without a topo and without an actual survey, it's hard to, you're telling us one thing, but we have to know facts.
I understand. And at the same time, as I said, I'd like to keep the grade set a little high on it so that you're sloping down to that driveway, because that way I'm not cutting into that natural berm that's there. Although that berm could even be reshaped a little bit so there's even less of a retaining wall, but again, tell me what I need to do.
Mr. English, let me ask for public comment at this point, and we'll bring it back
Sure.
up to the board. Is there anybody online who'd like to speak on case number 2 over on Dixie Highway? Anybody online? I see some neighbors, but I guess just keeping watch on what's going on, so I will bring it back to the board.
Ryan, did anybody in the neighborhood contact your office?
No.
Okay. So, again, let me restate the variances, because there's been, a healthy discussion here, and I just want to make sure we're clear on what's being applied for and what's being requested, and then some of the issues that have come up. So, again, for Mr. English, 2 variance requests. The first, a variance from section 5.06 to build an accessory structure in the front yard of a home. Again, that doesn't have anything to do with dimensions, it's just you're asking to build this structure in front of your home. The second variance request is a 40-foot side yard setback from the same table in order to construct the new structure as it's being shown. So it's a 40-foot side setback from that side. I guess it's kind of turned around here. I guess that's probably a western boundary line at that point.
You're right.
And then we've identified that your site plan submitted has an inaccuracy in terms of its front yard setback, it's required to be a 75-foot setback. You've shown that 75-foot, but actually from the center line of the road as opposed from the easement, so it technically is 15-foot. If we were to grant these variances as requested and advertised today, that building, again, if they're approved, could be built. It could be built, it would have to be slid further south towards your existing home by 15 foot to maintain that front yard setback.
Southeast, whatever that is,
Yeah, if you decided after the fact, boy, I really would like to build it a little closer to the road, that may be possible. It's certainly possible to apply for that variance, but it would take a separate application and a separate meeting.
No, I think I'd be good doing it by taking it back 15 feet more, because it does even more hiding of my neighbors and making it closer to my house to make it look like it was done there originally.
And Alan, I'm sorry, can we just say something?
No, I was gonna try and just move forward a little bit. I don't know if you had anything else to say. I'd like to make a motion.
Do you mind if I just ask Mr. Auger a question? Hey, Alan, I was going through the mathematical
Yep.
gymnastics, and you had a good point that said, hey, you know, as a zoning board, we're always looking for alternatives that might lessen the variances and lessen any impact on the neighbors and so forth. And you had a suggestion of potentially putting it completely on the other side of the house, and
That would take a variance.
that would also take a variance on that back corner, and it may have, in my thoughts, an impact on that neighbor on that side, because it's a little closer, their garage is on that side, but at least on the side where the applicant is requesting, it's kind of going up against an existing garage, as opposed to someone's home.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. English, I'd like to thank you for putting effort into making the structure look compatible with your existing home. I think that really says a lot versus other people that just put up a pole barn in a residential area, in my opinion, a residential area. So I would like to make a proposal here, in the case of 24-004, that Mr. English requesting two variances, the one to construct something in the front of the home, and also the 40-foot yard setback, that we approve this as shown, and we just again note to Mr. English that the 75-foot setback from the center of the road is incorrect, and that you should correct that in the
I will
future.
submit another set of drawings to Brian, yeah, not a problem.
And you should probably submit a survey, a final position of that it actually meets the side yard setback
And front yard.
and front yard
Yeah,
setback.
and I'm gonna explain this. I have a brother who's a little higher up in development of properties and stuff. I do remodeling contracting. He actually develops properties. He's got a transit. He's gonna bring that over. We're gonna shoot some lines tomorrow, figure out exactly where it's gonna be. So now I know I need another 15 feet
Okay.
forward.
Is he
and,
registered?
I'll stake it. Pardon?
Is he registered?
Is he a registered
Surveyor.
surveyor? No.
Well,
No.
that's not, we're asking for,
Oh, you want me to get a surveyor? Oh, okay.
because
can
I
do that.
mean,
On a
you can't
placement
just
basis.
Jim
measure from
Charles
the
read
middle
it.
of a gravel road.
Keith,
that property line
Keith
may not be
Engineering,
in the middle of the
Jim
se-
Sharrow
gravel
lives
road.
kitty corner to me.
Yes.
Yeah, he's right there. I can
Jim Sharrow lives
walk
right
over
in
and.
It's a placement verification.
Oh, that's
I'll,
Jim Sharrow. That's why you look familiar, sir. You're my neighbor.
I'll support the motion if you consider just adding two small comments, that it's a non-conforming lot and the severe topography in the rear of the home prevents anything in the rear.
Yes.
We have a motion, we have support. I would also ask for a friendly amendment to that, is inclusion that the applicant architecture is as stated during the meeting.
That would be a good addition.
Okay, so we have a motion, some amended, supported amendments. Does anybody need clarification on the motion? Brian, or do you need clarification on that motion?
Nope, I got it.
If you could give us a roll call, please?
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Sharl,
Yes.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
and Mr. Auger.
No, I'm not against it being in the front yard. I just think it should be back further towards the house, more in line with the other structures on the street. But I'm
It's
voting
gonna end up there.
It's
Yeah,
It's gotta go back 15 feet.
Yeah, it will be back
plus
very
or
close.
minus, yeah.
It will be close.
Thank you, Mr. English. Appreciate it. Sounds like the key thing here is
Thank you.
to work closely with the township, both in
Yeah.
terms of the updated site plan, the surveyed positioning by Mr. Charles or others, any registered surveyor, and then obviously all your building permits and inspections and so forth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Essentially a
Appreciate it.
placement verification.
And can I call Keith Engineering? Yes.
Sure.
My word.
Talk
Thank
to
you.
Bill.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, moving on to our third case, case number 24-005, Heather Hennica, petitioner requesting 3 variances. The first, a 3.163 square foot lot area variance from parcel A, and parcel A refers to the application has a site plan on it. The second variance, a 227.79 foot lot width variance from parcel A. And the third variance, a 3.005 square foot lot variance from parcel B, all from section 4.1D, table 4.18, in order to create a lot split at 5529 and 5541 Sashbaugh Road, which is in the commercial C2 planned shopping district of our township. To be specific, this is the CVS and the Chase Bank, which is located at the northwest corner of Sashbaugh and Mabee Road. The buildings are still there. The buildings are proposed to still be there. It's one single piece of property now, and the applicant is asking to split those parcels, and these are really dimensional or square footage variances to accommodate that split. Brian, do we have the applicant, looks like online?
I believe so.
Good evening.
Yes, present. Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg McDade with Allred USA. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Heather Hennica, who has recently brought a new bundle of joy into the world. So I'm just stepping in and attempting to fill her large shoes here. So I think, Jim, as you've laid out, we're before you tonight seeking 3 variances. And the 3 variances are essentially in an attempt for us to finalize a lot split, which would allow us to split the Chase Bank portion of the lot away from the CVS lot. And for us to complete this lot, it's essentially a condition of a purchase and sale agreement that we have with CVS at the moment. And that essentially says that we'll only be able to purchase the Chase Bank lot if the lot split goes through, because currently they do own both lots. And so, like I said, essentially this is just what we feel to be a formality of going through this process so that we can finalize our purchase and sale agreement and move forward with owning the asset, owning and operating the current asset as it sits today.
Okay, great. And so, Greg, so that I'm clear, did you say you are representing Allred USA, who's a property owner? CVS currently owns it, and your company will be purchasing the Chase Bank, or did I mishear that?
Yeah, so that's correct. We're not currently the property owner. CVS owns both where the CVS sits as well as the Chase Bank. But a condition of the purchase agreement that we do have with the CVS group is that we'll go through the lot split process and split off the Chase Bank portion of the lot so that we'll be able to purchase that portion, the northern portion of this current lot.
Okay, great. And so that I'm just drawing attention to it on the record, is this applicant essentially identical application with the same 3 variances was heard before this ZBA on July 20th, 2022. I was actually absent from that meeting, but I did read the minutes, and that application and these variances were motioned and approved, granted at that meeting with a number of discussions. I'll just bring it up. Cross-access easements were discussed, drainage was discussed, and so forth. Those minutes are part of the application, part of what was published online, so anybody in the community can certainly read those minutes. I just wanted to bring that up. Brian, before we come up to our board, maybe we'll go backwards. Have we heard from any other neighbors, residents, business owners?
No, this came to the attention, to us from the assessing department when they went to do the lot split and found that the variance had expired, so, this is.
That's the only
essentially-
reason why it's in front of us.
Correct, it's a repeat of what occurred in
Okay.
2022.
We,
Alan, I grant you with the best memory on this board, so I'm going to go to you.
no, we won't be granting anything to do. The buildings will stay exactly as they are, parking the same as they are. We're just going back to the split. If somebody was to enlarge the Chase Bank or something, they would
Yeah.
have to go to the planning commission.
Absolutely, depending on the size of the addition, but yes. Or change of use, yes, that requires site plan review.
Because part of our discussions was, and Brian will probably remember, is that anything dealing with this site go back to the planning commission to make sure everything is,
Yeah, that was my initial concern when we came in, is, well, what if something happens with them, and whether it stays one property or two, it would go through full planning review if somebody
Yeah.
tried to change something.
It would.
These variance requests tonight are just drawing the property lines, redrawing or splitting the property lines.
okay.
That's all it is, yeah.
I'm not opposed to that because I voted for it before.
Brian, any other thoughts from either tonight or from 2 years ago?
No, not on my end.
Joe?
I voted in favor of this the last time we had it, but I'm noticing something now that I don't quite understand. There's a big difference between the Oakland County Sidwell maps and the Chemtech survey. If you pull up, I mean, that's the survey. That's the way that was, but now,
So that's the parcel right now, as it is, it's whole. And so the split would go essentially down, you don't see my cursor on there, but basically down the middle.
Is it a s-
blipped.
The service drive between the bank and the CVS remains with the bank.
Well, that's not what I was looking at.
Go back to Chemtech so Jim can show us what he was talking about.
Well, but that drawing is not what I had, and now unfortunately it was disappeared. I mean,
Look
that-
behind us, Jim. There's a big one on the screen.
Yeah, I know, but unfortunately, I showed it.
Was it this one?
No, the aerial
That one there?
the aerial photograph, up this way. There, see that property line? It's right on the back of the building.
Yeah. Go to the aerial.
Yeah, but that's not the same as that.
Oh, yeah. We have a different aerial in the package for some reason.
Yeah, there's an aerial photograph in the package that has that property line at the back of the drugstore.
Oh, it doesn't include this.
Is
See
that
that-
the,
see
is
this
that the
line?
dashed line
See this line here?
right here, this right here?
No, it's on the aerial photograph.
You wanna look at my screen, Brian?
Yeah, because.
Yeah, because
I'm
all of a
looking
sudden
at
mine
the
went
packet.
blank.
I don't have an aerial.
See that?
Do you have an aerial?
This is
Well,
right
oh, yeah.
here.
No. Up on the other side of the street, there's the two. Oh, wait a minute, you're right, it is up there. You flipped them.
That might be a part of
That's
their
it.
submittal
Oh,
package.
that's,
He flipped,
that's the party store.
well, this drawing is upside down.
Yeah, you guys are looking at,
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
My
just
mistake,
rotated.
I go
it's
quietly.
not north-south,
I didn't,
it's
I'm just,
east-west.
north is always up the way I look at things, unfortunately, this is not.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So to be clear, the
We're all
packet,
set, we're all set.
the packet does,
Disregard what I said.
This is what's in the packet.
Yeah, I agree. But you flipped them on us.
Oh, I didn't, that's not in my packet, so I don't know what happened.
well, for clarity, on all of our aerials, no matter the orientation, the county maps, the parcels in question are outlined in kind of a cyan, everything else is yellow. And so we're talking about, everybody clear of the properties we're talking about? Cool.
So you're saying the division is a straight line, not a crooked one towards the west?
It does appear to have a
Little notch
10-foot,
in it.
It's got a little jog there.
10-foot offset to
Yeah.
accommodate the dumpster.
Okay.
80 foot and then 10 foot, and then the balance going towards Ashba. There was talk in the minutes from 2 years ago in terms of cross-access easements. Those appear to run with the approved plans, don't really, I guess I'm asking the question, they don't change as it relates to these lot splits. There would be a requirement that cross-access continues?
Yeah, I think that's the case. I would, if you were to make a motion tonight, I'd probably make it identical to exactly what was approved 2 years ago. So that way, in case the assessing department wants those cross-access easements, they can be provided
Okay.
by the petitioner.
Greg, from an application point of view, is there anything additional that you would like us to be aware of, or anything else we should consider here?
So no, I don't think so. Realistically, like we've been going back and forth on, it's the 3 variances that we'll need to have approved in order for us to move forward with the lot split and our purchase of the property. So I think it's just those 3 items.
Okay, great, thank you. I am now scrolling to find those minutes from, there it is.
Here.
Here's the motion right here.
Thanks.
Jim Sherrill made the motion up there.
So we're just.
All right, I move in case number, and this time it's 24-005, to grant the 3 total variances as published, and also require the township investigate and examine any easements that encumber both the properties for cross-access, and if there are any, potentially any other drainage easements.
We have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
We have motion and support motion by Mr. Charles, support by Mr. Alger. Brian, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Zurich,
Yes.
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
and Mr. Epping.
Yes. All right, you have once again an approved lot split. We'll have to continue working with the assessing department, the building department, and the planning department. And Brian, is there anything else the applicant should be doing at this point? in
No,
terms of
mainly
following
the
up?
assessing department, and then, once they come through, then I think we can sign off as a lot split committee, which is myself, Mr. Moran, and, our assessor, Kim Fagley.
And this variance, like other variances, expires after 2 years?
1 year.
1 year.
Yep,
Okay.
1 year.
You have any other questions, Greg?
I'm all set, gentlemen. I do appreciate your consideration of this item. And yeah, have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate you working in the community.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Gentlemen, that concludes our new business. We have our minutes from March 6th in our packet. If you've had a chance to review those, if anybody noticed any changes, any alterations, clarifications?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 6th, 2024 minutes as submitted.
Second?
All in support?
Uh,
Aye.
You weren't here.
It's okay. You
I
can still
just
vote
don't-
on it.
You can?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
you can.
I watched the meeting twice, so.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Gentlemen, we're on item I, discussion with the meeting open. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to say I watched the Planning Commission meeting where Mr. Carlisle and the township attorney's representative discussed what the Planning Commission's job is. Mr. Galley was there. I think it was an excellent presentation. Out of all of the seminars and that I've been to on zoning board of appeals at the county, Mr. Carlisle's put them on with our old township attorney. It's the best I've ever heard. I think if you haven't watched it, need to, or we need to have the same thing brought here, just to update us. She was excellent. I didn't know, don't bring your cell phone here, don't answer it, and don't talk to anybody. There's a lot of things that shouldn't. I'd also, you guys are concur, I'd like to see Brian go to the planning commission and put in our requirements on the ZBA to either stake or paint the project at the job location, temporary address sign out in front of the house so we can locate the address instead of the one on the private easement. His address is on a tree.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
If you're not going that direction, you don't see it. Another one is when the petitioner is requesting a variance because of a topo, it's hypothetical to us what's actually out there. I'd like to see if they're saying it's grades, that's the problem. Survey with a attached topo, so we can at least see some grade lines on the project.
You know, Alan, in that regard, it could make an appeal a little more costly. However, Oakland County has the ability, they print out topos, contour lines on sidewalls.
I don't have it.
And, well, I understand that. I mean, we used to get them all the time. I used to get them all the time at the office. Matter of fact, sometimes I even still go over there and say, I wanna see what this looks like. I wanna see some topo. Even if we just,
Gateway, you can look at the topo. On
even if we
Property
just
Gateway, which
had
is
that
great.
information,
And it's part, it would be part of
It
the
would be
record
helpful.
for us granting the variance. We'd have something documented to say that we did approve something that we have actual paperwork for.
okay, so when you put the aerial photographs in here, do you have the ability to do it with topo?
Not with the label generator that I use from the county, but I can certainly pull in topo. I mean, it's GIS work, that's all.
Yeah.
And it's,
It would be very helpful.
I mean, I can pull 2-foot contours.
That's right, that's all
You
that's
know,
necessary.
and-
That's all that's
and,
necessary. And if
so
it's
that's not-
available through the county, that would really be helpful.
Just another job. If you aren't already backlogged.
So the staking and address and all of that, we can make that part of the application submittal.
I think if,
Because it's, you know, we changed it a few years ago to require an affidavit, you know, basically giving you guys rights to the property. So we, and that they're gonna testify that things are accurate, their statements. So we can just add this to the application package that you're gonna have to stake it.
what does
You
the
know?
board think? I mean, I
It's not
visit
something
each,
that requires an ordinance amendment, is what I'm
I
saying.
visit each site.
Well, I will agree with you, the sites that I go to that are staked, or some of them are, you know, almost started, at least there, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I think it's gonna be there, but give or take 5 feet is oftentimes important to us, so I think that would be helpful, and it doesn't cost, you know, we're not asking for surveyed
No.
staking, it's really.
Some of these applications
the
that come
homeowners.
through do not have surveys. Matter of fact,
Most of them,
I'd like to throw 50% out,
yeah.
are not surveyed.
Yeah,
And
so.
are not having an accurate site plan drawn by a surveyor.
Yeah, and that's a fine line that I walk with petitioners because they don't wanna spend the money, but at the same time, you guys need documents that are at least reviewable. And, you know, so it's even hiring an architect before they've even gotten approval, you know, to do
Yeah,
it. But,
it's,
but I caution them all on small lots. I mean, I can't stop them, but I caution them all that you need, you know, the Lakatas I worked with probably 6 to 12 months ago and said, you need a survey. And so, you know, because it's such a small lot, we're dealing with inches.
Right.
Big lots on acreage, you know, we can handle that, but, you know, it's just a plot plan, but this is, and I always tell people who don't have water sewer, you need to show us, where's your well, where's your septic? Cause that's always a question you all ask.
Right.
How can you get to your septic? So, I mean, we can make this part of the application, that's not a problem, and just require it. You know, and I can, we can do a simple aerial with topo too, included in the package, that's not a problem.
I think that would be helpful, and if it's not, it doesn't cost the applicant extra money, it'll certainly take you and your department a little bit more time, but at 2 or 3 a month, it's helpful.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have the software, so, and, you know, it's,
And I also talked to Brian before after it was posted in the newspaper this month's meeting. When he posts it in the paper, because I take the clipping out of the local rag that we get, and I go around to each place, and then I reference it once he sends out the packet, in case I can't get there between the weekend and the time we have the meeting. Brian's gonna try to get the packets out earlier,
Okay.
because they're already pretty much made up
yeah.
at that
Well,
point.
this one was pretty early, wasn't it, or?
Yeah, it was
was
early, cause
yeah.
I was off last week, so
Ah.
I pushed it out early. I mean, it's, yeah, I bundle everything, cause everything gets scanned in, and then, you know, it gets put in the paper, the postcards go out. So I can try to, just bundle up the packet
For
and
me,
send it out that 15 days in advance, cause plus that helps the public, because it'll be already online,
Right.
you know.
Helps me if I'm driving around to jobs. I can
If you're in
stop
the
by on my
area.
way, you know, at a time.
Right.
There was something else. Oh, I want to apologize for missing December. I was day after surgery, and I had my gallbladder out, and I spent 2 weeks there because it went gangrene, so
Oh, no.
I am not a healthy, I'm
You look
healthy.
better.
I'm just trying to kind of get my heart back in shape. It went to my liver, kidneys, and heart. It went gangrene. I waited 2 days to go to ER. I was in ER
Shouldn't
15
wait.
minutes down the street here, and they had me in an ambulance going to Pontiac, so.
Wow. That was a long Christmas, huh?
Yeah, he says, "You're a whole lot sicker than you think you are." I walked in.
Yeah. Well, boy, I'm glad you're doing all right, Alan.
So,
Good to have you back.
it's good to be back.
I bet.
Being sick isn't fun.
No, we're all lucky to be here and enjoying the spring. So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:22. I think that clock's right. Yep.
that's good. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.